and another regional matchup yet again. Another team that has won their 29th sectional title all time is the Snider Panthers, and we're pleased to bring in their head coach, Kurt Tippmann. Now, Coach Tippmann, thanks for joining us again here on Upon Further Review.
Yeah, good to be with you guys tonight.
So sectional 29, you've been around for a long time as a player, as an assistant, as a head coach. Does it ever get old to hold up the hardware on a Friday night in November?
No, absolutely not. I mean, each year is a different group of kids, and our goal is always to work hard to allow each group of kids that come through the program to experience championships at whatever level, whether it be the conference championship or each level of championship throughout the playoffs. And that's our goal. And at Snider, when you win a championship, your picture gets put on the hallway forever. And every championship team, their pictures are placed in the hallway of Snider. And there are pictures up there that you see families come in and, dads and moms showing their kids, that's where I was in 1987 or whatever the year was. And it's pretty special, but 29 is a lot. And it's a great tribute to the many, many great talented players that have come through this program and worked extremely hard and earned those hard fought championships.
Coach, let's talk about the sectional that was a 4-team sectional that became a 3-team sectional. And I'm sure while having the bye the first week is nice to have, but having the double bye in that category was something that you probably were hoping the ping pong ball didn't select you guys from the standpoint of being off on a 2-week not playing. I guess, were you surprised that the IHSAA didn't do more to rectify that sectional, putting another team in there per se, or, because Dwenger was in there prior at the start of the year, then it all changed.
Yeah, I'm not sure what went into the change, what went into the rationale to change it the way it was. I don't think any explanation really has been given. It was strange in that it occurred after the season,
right?
Yeah, regular season games have already been played, and I know we spend a lot of time in the off season prepping for teams that are going to be in your sectional. We as I know you did when you were in college, coaching college ball. I mean, you always take a look at your upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little bit of preview, but you really do that with sectional opponents as well. And although, for us, they were all, with the exception of Anderson, conference opponents. So, it's duplicated in your season prep. To have that change, and there were other sectionals around the state that had to change because of that. I just think there needs to be some explanation for that. We were hoping and praying to not get a 2-week spot. I can't imagine trying to be productive during that time. That's a challenge in itself with 1 week off. We've had it long enough that I think we have a pretty good plan to try and be productive, yet keep their engagement, keep their interest,
right?
Not burn them out, but also get better, also get rested. We researched, it's now a common idea in college football. There's a bye week for somebody throughout the year. So we talk to college staffs about what they do. And so we feel like we have a pretty good plan, but for 2 weeks, I don't know, that'd have been difficult.
Yeah, it would have been real difficult in that category of things. Before we jump into the what you got coming up this Friday, kind of talk about your year in general. Just one of the year, how it came about for the Panthers, the development of Billingsley at quarterback, because I think he's had a terrific year. Buchanan and his leadership abilities. He was on here a week ago and very impressed with him and articulate and how he handles himself. But just kind of, talk a little bit about the year with this group of kids.
Well, we've we always thought that we had a good group of kids, and everything starts with in our off season. You kind of get a feel for their leadership. You get a feel certainly for their work ethic in the weight room. That to me, the off season is one of the coolest times about coaching football, is because you really get to know your team intimately. You're not dealing with the X's and O's, which certainly everybody enjoys. You're dealing with life, and you're in settings with weight room when you can learn a lot about guys in the weight room, and
Yeah.
how much they want to push through things that are hard, and their attendance, and you just get to spend a lot of good quality time with them throughout that year. And our goal as coaches is to build relationships with them, get to know who they are, what makes them tick. Go watch them play other sports. We love going and watching guys playing basketball or wrestling or swimming, and in the spring, baseball guys and track. Just go see them perform in a different setting than what you see them with in the football program. And so we knew we had a good group of kids, good group of character kids. We also teach a leadership class with our upcoming seniors, so that they would be juniors at this time, throughout the winter months. So starts in January, ends in May, and it's before school hours. And again, you're asking kids to come before school, 1 day a week for 4 months, to learn about leadership in the off season. And we get a good feel for the senior class at that time. And so we knew we had good leadership. We had some kids with good character, and their work ethic. And that's always exciting as a coaching staff, to know that you got that group. Now, getting into the football part, we had a 3-year quarterback to replace, 3 outstanding wide receivers, and an outstanding tight end to replace. We had our leading rusher to replace. We had some returners on the offensive line, which is a good place to start, but we had lots of questions on offense. And although we had, a talented pool to pick from, you never know how those guys are going to react till they get in the fire. And I'll say very specifically, offensively, Keyron, he was going to be a big question as to how this offense was going to go. And I would say on the offensive line, our one of our guards, Sam Haxton, he was going to be a big determining factor on whether or not this team was going to be quality. And then the 3 guys stepping in at receiver, all new faces. Those guys didn't play varsity football at receiver. They were playing JV football, really. And Boston Conley has done a great job. Trevor Jarvis, another great job. Austin Ganaway was one of our starting safeties, so he had varsity experience, but we were moving him to a new position. And then supported with one of our really talented soccer players decided to not play soccer his senior year because he just always had a goal of playing football. John Stegmeyer, and again, huge surprise in what he was able to bring to our receiving corps. So as the season began, those were big questions on offense. And then, and I think that's the way we phrased it going into game 1. I mean, what an opportunity going down to Indianapolis, playing one of the best programs in the state of Indiana, very talented, well coached, on the road. And that's what we said. We're going to find out answers to a lot of our questions in week 1. And, Keyron put on a show. The receivers all did a great job. Sam did a great job. Jack Langus did a great job at tight end, replacing Lincoln Ferks. And so I think in those 2 weeks, being on the road at Warren Central and East Noble, we got a lot of answers to those questions in those key spots offensively. And then same thing defensively. We knew we had we had quite a bit of experience returning on defense with the defensive line, and Will Kelso and Adam Blakey played a lot as a sophomore also. But then we had, another junior, a guy that was going to be a senior that played JV football as a junior, and Isaac Cruz and RJ Nichter. Those guys were JV guys playing on as juniors on Thursday. And a lot of kids think, well, man, if I'm a junior and I'm playing JV, I'm not going to be any good. But these guys have played extremely well for us on the defensive line. And same thing at linebacker. Lucas was returning the 3-year starter, but then we had, new guys. And all those guys, really answered the call and were ready to be varsity football players and began playing right at the beginning of the season at a high level.
Kurt Tippmann, head coach of Snider Panthers, joining us on Upon Further Review. Okay, Coach, the objective is to continue play. We're into November now. You guys are on the regionals, and the competition continues to get tougher. You guys play at Mishawaka on Friday night in a regional game. They're 9-2. You guys played each other last year at this same round. I think it was also at Mishawaka. The challenge that they present for you and your staff and what you and your players, what you guys will be keying in on this week as preparations are underway.
Well, for those not familiar with the flex bone, if you watch Army play on TV, it's that offense. Army, Navy, Air Force has kind of shifted a little bit out of what they do. Even Army has adjusted, but that triple option, very heavily run game oriented type of attack, and it's just unique. Warsaw also runs it. In fact, Coach Curtis, who used to be the coach at Mishawaka, and when we played him in 2015 and 2016, Coach Curtis was the head coach at Mishawaka, and then he went to Warsaw and brought the same offense. Well, Mishawaka kept the same offensive approach and, do a great job with it, continuing with what they've always done. And it's just hard to defend. It's not anything you see during the year. It's just unique, and it takes a whole bunch more training to get used to playing this offense because you don't see it anywhere in your season. And, in the playoffs, this was a regular season opponent. It'd be different because you'd be playing them. You could prep for it in the summer. But as it's in the playoffs, you never know who you're going to play. So we have 4 days to get ready for an offense that you never see. Now, we played it last year, so we have some familiarity with it. It's always nice to turn on film of yourself playing against it.
Yeah.
And so we have that to rely on. But, for them, they're very well coached. Keith Kinder is their head coach. And, there's not many guys that I have more respect for as a coach, as a guy, as a coach that does it right and how he runs the program. They're very, very well coached, great coaching staff. The kids play extremely hard. Every year that we've played Mishawaka, we've left that season saying that might be the most physical team we played all year. And we're playing 6A, 5A teams throughout our schedule. They're just very physical, and the kids play extremely hard. They're tough and well coached. And so it's a challenge in a lot of different ways than what you're used to. In the SAC, you're always challenged by good coaching, but the talent on the field there's guys that can score anytime they catch the ball. And although that is the challenge in a place like Mishawaka, the level of execution that you have to defend is different than what we see in our regular season. And the physicality that they bring is different than what we see in the regular season, week to week. So it's very unique, and it's a great challenge for us as coaches to get our kids ready in 4 days to have to play against, that offense.
You had to come from behind up there last year, didn't you?
Well, I don't know if we could script it any worse. I should have known because we did the coin flip, and they won the flip. And usually you defer, but they said we want the ball. So they got the ball. It took them 17 plays to score. They scored. They onside kicked it, got it, went 15 plays and scored. We didn't get the ball till the second quarter. We went 3 and out, and they got the ball again, drove down and scored. It's 21-0, and we've run 3 plays.
Yeah.
We were down 21-0. Now, after they scored their 21st point, kicked off to us, and Kamari ran the kickoff back for a touch, which was a spark that we desperately needed. You talk about a momentum changing play. And then we were able to get a stop finally and close out the half down 21-7. And then came out in the second half, and man, third quarter was a buzzsaw. We stopped them on defense and scored every time we had the ball on offense, and gave up a score in the fourth quarter, but ended up winning 41-27. Just scored 34 points in the second half.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with these type of teams is that you got to get up on them. You can't play from. I mean, you guys played from behind and were able to do it, and found a way to win that ball game up there. But the best thing to do with these type of teams is get them down, because you got to get them into uncomfortable situations where they don't like to be in, and that's being down or third and forever. Right. And that's the key to that whole thing. But I'm not telling you anything different, and you just decided to spot them 21.
Yeah, we drew it up that way for sure. And we looked at the stats earlier today, and we ran 34 plays. They ran 70. So they had just under 400 yards. We had just over 200. So, I mean, stat wise, it was
crazy.
Contest, but
yeah, I know. It's crazy how that works.
And that's the purpose of that offense. It's ball control. It's meant to keep the ball out of the opposing team's hands. I mean, when Warsaw played Carroll, same thing happened. Carroll had, I think, a third of the time of possession that Warsaw had. And it's just hard to combat that. And, they're fine gaining 3 yards, 3, and then go for it on fourth down and start a new set of downs, move the chains. And they're perfectly happy with that. And they march it down the field. And, that's kind of how they'd like it to go.
Yeah. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on tonight and talking some football with us. I know looks like you're in your classroom and it's about 9:00 on a school night, so we'll let you get going here. But we appreciate it for joining us. Good luck on Friday night as the Snider Panthers travel to Mishawaka, and another game we'll be keeping our eye on as the Panthers continue their march through the 5A playoffs.
I got to figure out what I'm teaching in calculus tomorrow. So Mishawaka's on the
football coach who teaches math. That sounds dangerous to me.
Extra credit on anybody that can design a defense for you to defend the triple.
That's right.
We didn't even get into the SAC schedule this year. We'll have you back on and ask about that another time. But anyway, thanks so much, Coach. We'll see you down the road, and best of luck on Friday.
All right. Thanks, guys.